With that, we move on to unfinished business. The first item is 6A, approval of modifications to the 4K partnership with the Hukak Academy. Mrs. Zardi?
Yes. We thought we were all ready to go, and I know you had previously approved the partnership plan that we had put together. Again, we are not paying Ho-Chunk Nation any amount of money, other than we did agree to put aside $500 in case there were some types of resources that we wanted to use in the building. We agreed to provide them with 3 buses for some transportation for a few field trips. We, of course, are providing the hot lunch program for them as well as the breakfast program. And they use the school district's transportation provided they live within the attendance area of the Ho-Chunk Academy. So Mr. Mann, who we had worked with, who's with the language division in charge of that, had taken the partnership that you had agreed to up to the nation, and then just came back a couple of weeks ago and said that they wanted some revisions in that. And it's primarily in the area that focuses on if there were a disagreement and there was a dispute and we needed to go to arbitration. And the Ho-Chunk Nation traditionally has asked in any kind of arrangement that they have with another organization that they be allowed to, or that they are recognized for their sovereign immunity. And what that means then is if there were a dispute, according to state law, they would have the ability to have that dispute settled in tribal court. I know Mr. Mann was very apologetic. He said, I wish this wasn't needed, but it's what the nation really wants. I think that we have a very good relationship with them. We have not had any disputes with any of our 4K partners that I'm aware of. I don't anticipate that there would be any. However, there is some risk in agreeing to this modification because it would mean that tribal court potentially would favor the nation's view on an issue. And I'm sure from their perspective they feel that the state courts would favor the school. So it's one of those, how do we resolve this? There are 5 students currently who are enrolled in the 4K program. Their parents have enrolled them voluntarily. So if there were a problem that was created, parents can withdraw their children from that program at any time. We are not paying for the teachers. They are employed by the nation. So if there were a dispute that came up in that regard, that would be, they're not our employees who we're focusing on. So, I did share with you some of the opinion of our legal counsel who, said, again, there's risk in doing this, but he was not overly concerned. The 4K partnership document that you'd signed, it's very boilerplate language. There are changes to that. We're a quarter into the school year. The program's been running since the start of the school year. Everything is going smoothly. I guess I'm recommending that we go ahead and approve those changes. I would like to set up a meeting to meet with Mr. Greendeer of the Ho-Chunk Nation just to talk about for next year. There's some different language changes that we could make so that neither group feels like we might be put in a position where there's a bias. But if we weren't able to reach an agreement, certainly this contract is only good for this year. It has to be redone every year, and so we'd have the potential in just a few months to decide whether or not it's something that we want to continue with. So I'm not sure what questions you may have on this.
But ultimately tonight you're looking for approval of the proposed agreement then with the modifications?
Yes. And so when you look at the last page of that, I believe it's page 5, Letter C is some of the changes were just very minute, like having the Ho-Chunk Nation along with its, that was on the first page, along with its language division and the Ho-Chunk Academy, who's referenced as the agreement is between. And then it is the last page, page 5, where the agreement shall be governed by the laws of the state of Wisconsin, and then letter D states that nothing in the agreement shall be construed in any manner to be a waiver of the sovereign immunity of the nation. And it's that statement that changes from really an arbitrator in the court system to recognition that the sovereign immunity of the nation would allow for a dispute to be heard in tribal court.
Mrs. Arnie, the lawyer that we had, our district lawyer that looked at this, he had a couple other changes. Would those have to be incorporated into this prior to actually signing?
I actually thought I did.
Oh, maybe you did. I didn't check it over.
Yeah, they were spelling.
Right.
I fixed those, yes. Good. So he did.
That's good, because I was trying to figure out where he thought it was wrong.
Yeah.
That's good.
I make a motion that we go ahead with this. Make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I will second that.
So we have a motion and a second to approve the agreement that's been modified after the, I guess, the recommendations submitted from the Ho-Chunk Nation. And that's trying to find on our computers, which, just so everybody knows, it's the what was listed on here on the computer as the updated 4K partnership contract with Ho-Chunk Nation / HUCAC Academy. And okay, so we have a motion and a second. Are there other questions before we vote on that? I have a question. On Exhibit A, you said at the outset we're not paying for anything other than providing some things that are listed in the exhibit, but Exhibit A reflects a $0. And so I guess that's just reflecting that we make no payments to...
That is correct.
To them for this.
many of our 4K partners there, we pay a fee for the student to attend there. And we,
Okay.
yeah, we do not pay anything. So we receive the state aid for each of those students.
Okay. And then I guess just to address the sort of the biggest issue, which was where disputes would be decided or how they would be decided, and the nation not wanting to waive sovereign immunity. But under paragraph C, I guess just to point it out to the rest of the board, the agreement, we still are having it governed by the laws of the state of Wisconsin. They have taken out that the dispute would be decided by would not necessarily be decided by state courts, but even if it went to tribal court, the laws of Wisconsin are still applicable.
Well, I think that's where there's potentially some question, because as a sovereign nation, can they have particular laws or viewpoints on things that are different from the state of Wisconsin? And potential, I mean, I don't know what those might be, but I think there's the potential that they may see or view something differently than a state law would.
Well, I guess my concern or question would be they still would have to apply the laws of the state of Wisconsin. Now, it's a different court, they might interpret those laws differently
Okay.
than our state court, but then one circuit court might as often interpret laws differently than another circuit court. So
Yes. You're correct. Interpretation of the law would be what is different.
yeah.
But like with any of our partners, each of these contracts is a year only, and if the partner or we were not happy, we would cease to be partners, just not renew it.
And do you know if there's any other school district doing something similar to this that's...
I think, I'm not aware of any other
Okay.
school district doing something similar to this. Yes.
We're leading the way.
Okay. It's always exciting.
But as
Scary.
my good friend, Mr. Goiter, would often reminds me, no good deed, so sometimes, and I recognize that, I don't want to, there potentially is some risk. Is
Sure.
it significant enough that I would not recommend, and our lawyer does not recommend doing this? No, we don't believe so.
Right.
Either way, the contract's for 1 year, right?
Right.
1 year, and there's been a fairly substantial relationship
I think
With-
yes. I think
with the
we
Ho-Chunk
can
Nation.
Work things out. There is
Yes.
some disagreement, sit down and resolve it.
Sure. Okay. Any other questions, concerns? All those in favor of approving the updated 4K partnership contract with the Ho-Chunk Nation / Hukak Academy signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right, the motion carries, and so that contract, updated contract is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.